Fast Times at Fairmont High.
Ridgemont High.
Oh.
That's okay.
I'm definitely gonna cut. Oh my god.
No worries.
She's probably somebody's only light, gonna shine tonight. Yeah.
Hello and welcome everyone to episode 2 of The Uncaging. We are your hosts, Satyam Kanal and David Toro. If you missed the first episode, check it out on Spotify. It's under The Uncaging. We did an episode last time as well. And we're looking at all Nick Cage movies, and we're starting off right at the top. So the episode this week is Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Let's get into it. And I'll introduce you, David, as well. David, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you, Satyam?
Good. How was your week?
Pretty good. Not too bad.
Yeah.
How sunny is it in California?
It's so sunny, dude. It's beautiful. The weather has been like up and down a little bit, but right now it's bright and beautiful outside. So
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's not super cold here in North Carolina yet, so
Nice.
yeah, hoping the heat will stick.
Yeah. Awesome. Sounds great. All right, so let's dive into today's episode then. Oh, and just a quick shout out to my South Asian peeps. Happy Diwali. It's a beautiful time right now. I was talking to my family back home. It's still in the middle of it, so yeah, hope you're having a good time.
And I just wanted to add, it is Satyam's birthday tomorrow.
Oh,
so by the end of the episode, you'll know where to contact us to wish him happy birthday.
Oh, thank you
And
so much.
Happy early birthday.
Thank you very much. I'm so happy to be doing it right now,
Of course.
Yeah. All right, you ready to jump into the movie then?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. But before that, just want to warn everyone that the movie is Fast Times at Ridgemont High. So we are going to break it down a little bit, talk about the movie, talk about our boy Nick, and kind of analyze all things Fast Times. So if you want, right now is the time to stop listening. If you haven't seen the movie, get out of this podcast, pause it real quick, go check the movie out, watch it. It's a blast.
It is a great movie.
It's a blast.
Super fun.
Yeah. And then you can pop right back in at this time. So, spoilers ahead. All right. Let's jump in then. So, let's talk briefly about the overall movie and how we felt about it. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. I really liked it. It was a good segue from last episode. It's a coming-of-age story. Although it doesn't star Nicolas Cage, it stars Sean Penn, which ended up becoming a humongous actor. So right off the bat, I really, really, really liked it.
Yeah, sounds great.
How about you?
Sounds great. Yeah, I feel the same way. So, yeah, like you said, it's a coming-of-age movie, so it's very focused on high schoolers. Actually, we'll talk a little bit more about comparing the two movies we've watched so far. But this one I felt was very focused on these teenagers, from the eyes of teenagers, and talking all about their lives. So although IMDb lists the movie as a comedy drama, I felt like it was just a telling of stories of teenagers. It wasn't like I wouldn't put it in a bracket of any kind of a genre. It was like almost like a life genre, if that makes sense.
Yeah, the humor wasn't like kind of in-your-face humor. It was very subtle, like the main character, Jeff Piccoli, his accent, typical like California surfer dude. I thought that was like a whole just comedy section on its own. So it's less subtle than you would think, and there are definitely drama elements. I mean, we'll go into it in a little bit, but there's definitely some like tough choices that these young people face. So yeah, I would say I agree with you. It's more dramatic, I would think, than comedy.
Right. So I'm just going to paint a picture of like the quick synopsis of the movie. So basically it's these few kids that are now in the final year of their high school. Actually, at least one of them is. The other ones,
Yeah. I think Brad is. and they go to that dance, but it wasn't
Exactly.
made
It was
clear
kind of vague.
that the dance is
Yeah.
only for seniors.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep. It was
yeah.
kind of vague. So the setting I found super interesting. So we don't exactly know where Ridgemont High is, right? So I was curious because I want to know like where things are happening. So it turns out the movie is based off of a book, by this. Actually, I think it's produced by the same guy, and
So it's adapted to screenplay by the same guy,
yep,
which I found interesting. Yeah.
and that guy turns out he actually kind of went undercover in a local high school to learn about the life of high schoolers and write the book. And
Yeah, that's so interesting.
yeah, and the high school that he went to is actually in San Diego. It's Claremont High. Claremont, I've been to many times. I actually do grocery there a lot with my friends.
So like you know where the school is?
I mean I checked it out in Google Maps. Yeah, it's right there. It's not too far from here. So it makes sense. I mean, Sean Penn's character is such a huge surfer. Yeah, I can totally see kids going to that high school being, surfers day in, day out, and like everyone else. So yeah, that was amazing. But yeah, the story is about these high schoolers, their life in that year. So it follows them throughout that academic year, ending in that dance at the end. And it's really is a coming of age story where these guys are trying to kind of find their footing in their little world, in their little universe. There's also a interesting parallel going on between so Sean Penn is one of the protagonists, but there's another story going on where there's two people that look up to these seniors and try to get, and of course it's about like love and finding your people you're interested in, and then it's like it's almost like a mentorship story going on as well, where the older, quote unquote, wiser seniors give advice to these juniors about what to look for in love, how to approach dating, and all of that. So it was very interesting, I thought.
Yeah. I thought that it explores to be like a coming of age movie, and just thinking through it now, it reminds me kind of, do you remember The Outsiders, I think it was? I think Tom Cruise is in it actually when he's really young, and it's also somewhat of a coming of age story. And it reminded me of it slightly because it doesn't just deal with, going to college or last year of high school. It explores everything from like love, sex, drugs, friendships. It explores great music too throughout the soundtrack, which is incredible. And then you have the kids who have to maintain jobs, like Brad, and then some tough decisions that come with like the irresponsibility of being a teen at times. So I thought it was very well rounded in all of the themes that it explores.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. It was great. Yeah, I felt the comedic side of it came when, like you said, the decisions they make kind of cascade into this step of situations. I'm especially thinking of Brad, where it was funny. The movie started off as him being this really confident guy who, he knew what he was doing. He was ready to break up with his longtime girlfriend then to explore new options. And he was like, oh, I got everything under control, But then everything starts to kind of spiral out of control for him, with him switching jobs, quitting at that pirate job, which was super funny. And then right at the end in the convenience store, with the whole Sean Penn scene, that was really funny as well.
I really like Brad's character. Like you said, he's more of a mentor to the kids. To the kids, quote unquote, the kids. Stacey is his sister, and there's a touching moment with them right at the end. We won't spoil this just yet, but we don't really see them kind of connect throughout the whole movie. And then at that very, it's not the ending scene of the movie, but there's one endearing moment where Stacey needs someone, and there's no one there for her. So the brother steps up, and I thought that was really, really touching of the character to be there for his sister.
Yeah, I totally agree. It shows where, when friends may falter, family is still there for you. That was really interesting, and I really like the fact that Brad doesn't really try to accuse her or like try to blame her for what happened, but he just kind of accepts her and takes her in his stride and helps her out. So yeah, I thought that was really endearing as well. I just want to ask you here, so who do you think, or what theme was your favorite, like as in a character pairing or a situation or something like that? What do you think?
I would say Jeff Spicoli, Sean Penn's character, and his American history teacher.
Mr. Hand.
It reminds me. I mean, it's an exaggerated version of a really really irresponsible kid in school, but the pairing of those two, of him not even wanting to be disrespectful, I think it's just him who he is, because he means well throughout the movie. He never does anything to harm anyone. And then Mr. Hand, his American history teacher, he wants. I mean, he's authoritative. He is. He's very disappointed when his students get those Fs and the Ds. He's clear about what he deserves, or what he needs as a teacher. I remember in the first scene where he's clearly spelling out the syllabus. You need this for tests. You need this for exams. You need to get your homework up. You need to be in attendance. And then Sean Penn comes in. He's late. Literally the complete opposite of what Mr. Hand wants in a student, Sean Penn is. And I really liked how throughout the whole movie, there's almost a growth of both characters. Jeff Spicoli learns to be more diligent about his work and learn what is being taught in order to pass grade. And then Mr. Hand kind of realizes that he doesn't have to be such a hard ass on kids, because Jeff Spicoli is not there for school. He's there for the weed, the good times, the driving in his VW bus. So it's just a different output on life. And I think that teaches Mr. Hand to just simmer down and be more easygoing with the kids.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, their relationship really was fantastic. And I also enjoyed how Sean Penn, in his happy way, he takes Mr. Hand in his stride as well. What really struck me was right at the beginning, Mr. Hand was very, like, right off the back, he was really authoritative and strict against Jeff. And Jeff realizes that, but then he kind of, it's like a counter against each other the whole movie. So he counters by ordering pizza in class. But then Mr. Hand counters right back by letting everyone have some, So I love their relationship that's back and forth throughout the movie. And then, like you said, towards the end, they come to this kind of a almost like a meeting place where they still value things that they value, but they learn to respect each other's differences. So that's what the home teaching scene at the end signified to me, that Mr. Hand's like, okay, this kid is not perfect, but he at least understands like what I want from him. And then Jeff is the same way. Like, Mr. Hand is very uptight, but at least he's also a human being, and like he's, I can talk to him and work with him. I really like the fact that Mr. Hand decides to not fail him and just lets him squeak by, in his words.
He makes him kind of prove himself, where when he has to explain, like, talk about the American Revolution, and at the beginning of that scene, Mr. Hand says, "I calculate that you have wasted a total of 8 hours and I'm being conservative about it, so now it's my time to waste your time." And this is the same day where he's supposed to go to the high school dance. So I was like, is he really going to stay with him the entire 8 hours while he misses the dance and everything? And it's nice to see that that's not the case. It seems like maybe an hour or 2 hours in, they come to this agreement, and it's like, okay.
Yeah.
And that's when you, like what you said, they come to this mutual understanding where you're not going to change who I am, I'm not going to change who you are, so we'll let things be as they are.
Right. And a really funny thing I noticed, I actually caught it in the trivia page as well. Mr. Hand, right at the beginning of the movie, he kind of like slams his hand on the desk while talking to the class for the first time, right in front of Stacey, and he says, "You wouldn't want me to," like, it's about eating in his class and like that being his time, and he says, "You wouldn't want me to come to your home and teach you American history in your time, right?" And then he ends up doing that actually at the end of the movie, which I thought was a really nice...
interesting parallel.
Yeah. So for me, this was definitely one of the most interesting character kind of duo. But another character duo that I really enjoyed following throughout the movie was Mike and Mark. So these are the guys. That's like the mentor mentee thing I was talking about. So Mike Damone was the suave guy that Mark Rat, who is one of our main protagonists, looked up to throughout the movie for advice. Like relationship advice, self-confidence advice. And
So before you go into his character, what was kind of your first impression of Mike? Did you like him? Did you automatically think that he was going to be a bad person? What was your first assumption of him?
Okay, so yeah, when I first saw him, I thought he was a con man for sure. Like I thought he was kind of a dick, like he spoke in this high like eloquence that the other kids obviously didn't have there and around him, and he was selling tickets on the side, like he was trying to get all this money and like these like hush deals and whatnot. He was almost tricking these little kids to get money off of them. So at the beginning I really didn't have a good opinion of him. I must say that over the movie I felt more and more sympathetic towards him. Specifically with the whole Stacey situation that he has going on. And I did like the fact that, yeah, towards the end, I definitely kind of grew warmer towards him, I would say.
So I had thought that he was going to be a good friend to, it was Rat.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the thing about like conning, so when he's scalping tickets for the kids, I didn't associate that with something being bad. He's just kind of like a high schooler who has access to these cheap tickets, and he's scalping them. He's scalping to little kids. I thought that was more of how much he's willing to do to get ahead, because he's only in high school. I mean, what is he going to do with those $20? So yeah, I thought he was going to be. So you said that you thought that he ended up a better person. I thought he ended up as a worse person.
Okay. That's really interesting. I totally see where you're coming from, because yeah, I feel like in these two parallels there are two different things going on. Yeah, for me, I think the fact that it was like first impression didn't show me who this person really was, and the fact that he's struggling with himself as well is what made me warmer towards him. But you're right, like the fact that he was supposed to be a good friend to Mark, but then he totally left him on the side with the whole Stacey situation. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So I'll summarize it quickly. Rat starts dating Stacey. Stacey had gone out one time with this 26-year-old guy. She works at the pizza place at the mall, and she has to lie about her age. She's actually 15. She tells the guy that she's 19. Then they go out, and she loses her virginity that one night with this complete stranger. Rat likes Stacey, who works opposite of the pizza place. So he approaches her, gets her number, and they go out on one date. They start hitting it off. Had Rat not lost his wallet or left it at home, nothing of this would have happened. So if you haven't watched the movie, watch the movie. But in the date where Stacey and Rat go to a restaurant, it's time to pay, and Rat has forgotten his wallet. So what does he do? He goes to the payphone and calls up Mike. And he has Mike drive to his house, to Rat's house, and then deliver the wallet to the mall. And
this is where I think Mike is a good person. Like the first instant, because I thought he was going to totally blow him off. Like
I thought so too.
Exactly. My first impression of him was like, this guy is a dick, Like I didn't think he would actually go all the way to give his wallet. Or even if he did, I thought the wallet would have like no money or something.
Right. So he delivers the wallet, and at the moment where he gives the wallet to Rat, Mike and Stacey make eye contact, and there's like, Cupid's arrows strike at least Stacey. The following day, or the following weeks, Stacey approaches Mike, and Mike asks Stacey how it's going with Rat, and then that's when Stacey confesses to him that she likes him, not Rat.
For me, this was the funny juxtaposition. When you said at the beginning you thought Mike was a opportunist, right? Like the way you described the tickets. This is where I felt he was an opportunist, because I thought he was a good friend because he was paving the way and making things easier for Mark. But then he realized that Stacey liked him instead, and that Mark wasn't really doing enough to... So this is where I saw, okay, this guy is an opportunist, because
Yeah.
now that he sees that the chips are falling in his favor,
Yeah.
he goes with it, you know?
As if he could do better with Mark, and then that's what happens. Mike goes to Stacey's house, and they end up having sex in Stacey's changing room next to her pool. And then, lo and behold, a few days later, Stacey approaches Mike and tells him that she's pregnant. Boom. Like, to me, that was such a... It kind of took away from the previous comedy stuff and the living high. She's pregnant. What do? So Mike proposes they get an abortion. And this is when it sold it to me that Mike wasn't deep down a good person. At the beginning of the night, we see Mike trying to get all the money to pay for the abortion. They need I think it's like $75 each. And he drives her to the clinic. That was the agreement that they had made. It seems that Mike does not get the money that night. So the following day, Stacey's waiting outside her house, and Mike's not there. And I thought, I don't know. I think it's a defining moment because it's something that Stacey's going to have to go through by herself. It's not like Mike can do it for her or do the abortion in place of her. So in that moment, I think it would have been great for Mike to show up there, but he doesn't want a relationship with her. It's kind of like she's back at the first guy that she lost her virginity to. Mike and this guy at the beginning, they just want to have sex with her. They don't care about her. And it's a realization for Stacey too, because she has to realize that people just like people are materialistic and they want certain objects, people just want to take either advantage of people or just want people for lust. And it's a crude realization. It's a crude world, unfortunately. But then if you want to talk about Brad swooping in and being the great brother that he ends up being with Stacey.
Yeah, absolutely. So Brad, we've seen him having his own struggles throughout this movie as well. I really enjoyed that. I thought their sibling relationship was very realistic. They're not bothering each other that much, but we also realize that their parents aren't around that much. So I feel like... So
a quick note on that. We don't see any parents. I remember you mentioned last episode that we don't see any parents in The Best of Times. When we heard, what was his name? The main guy, we heard his mom, but never saw.
Yeah.
And here it's kind of the same. The only adult that we see is Mr. Hand.
Yeah.
And maybe a few other teachers.
Yeah. There's that weird bio teacher. The bio teacher is apparently also... Yeah, he's also based on a real bio teacher that the real high school had.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they actually... it was funny because they said the bio teacher also did field trips, and one of the trips was to see like a pig get dissected at UCSD. So they one of the trips made all the way to my school as well.
That's awesome. Yep. But anyway, back to Brad. He picks her. Well, he doesn't pick her up. He takes her to go bowling because the abortion clinic is right next to the bowling alley. And right before he drives off, Brad sees Stacey crossing the road, going to the clinic. Stacey obviously has no idea what Brad is doing, so by the time she comes out, he's there. She needs someone right there, and I think it would have been too cliche if Rat just showed up, because like how would Rat have known? So I think to have had Brad drive his sister unknowingly to the abortion clinic and then pick her up, and then like you said, there's a mutual respect there. They don't get in each other's hair. Stacey doesn't want to share any information, but the agreement is they keep it away from the parents.
Right.
And I thought that was a good kind of continuation of their relationship, because they don't bother each other. When Stacey has friends over, Brad's cool with it because he has work to do, and Brad's working half the time anyway.
Absolutely. So it does show that Brad, even though he's having his own struggles, he's willing to be a nice brother, do his responsibility, especially with the parents not around that much. You know, he realizes that, at least at that moment, Stacey definitely needed him, and he was there. He waited, you know, however long that was, and then took her back home. And then, yeah, we see that Brad is a good person and we see so many bad things happen to him, like that whole diner scene where he lost his job. His girlfriend did to him what he thought he was gonna do to her. The awkward scene in the pool later on, and then of course switching through these jobs. So even though things are kind of not falling the way he wants them to, we see that Brad is a good person at heart, and he does what he needs to do at the right time.
Now that you say when he gets fired, I think that was the first appearance that I saw Nicolas Cage. I don't know if you spotted him in any other scene before that.
I saw him right at the beginning.
Okay.
Maybe like 5 minutes into the movie, or 10 minutes into the movie, at the parking lot, and he was Brad's friend. So
okay.
I saw him like kind of high five him or something, and I was like,
Yeah.
there's my boy. But then he didn't show up until like 2 more little glimpses, and I was really disappointed.
I do have to say though, it's the scene where Brad is getting fired, when he looks up and there's another guy next to him. When he looks up and his eyes are like as wide as they can be, I laughed out loud right then and there. It was good. It was a good scene.
For sure.
And then I spotted him at the dance at the end.
I did too. Yep.
And he was just like off to a side. It's not like they focused on him or anything. But yeah, we get the inkling that he's one of Brad's friends.
Yeah, I also saw him at the football game.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
He's like shouting.
Right.
He's one of the Ridgemont High fans shouting. So should we go a little bit, talk a little bit more about Piccoli's character as well?
Sure.
I just have like a quick, really funny story. I think this was the favorite part of the movie for me personally.
Mm-hmm.
So this was when Piccoli is sharing a ride with another kid, and they're blasted. They're gone. He's just driving this guy's brother's expensive car, and the brother is actually a famous actor, Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah, Forrest Whitaker.
Which was crazy when I saw him.
He's so big too. I mean, now when you see him, he's a big actor. But he must have been so young. Nicolas Cage, I think, was 18 in this movie. He must have been like at least 22, maybe. I'm making that up. I haven't seen his birth date, but oh my god, and of
he's
course
scary.
They would have
he's
him
intimidating.
Yeah, he is, and of course he's like the star of the football team.
Exactly. So so this scene where they're driving, and then Jeff Piccoli's like his very like chill self, and he's just like driving around like super, and then he absolutely totals the car.
And it's a nice sports car.
Yeah, and I love how he says, "Oh, it's fixable. I'll have my uncle fix it," or something. And then I'm thinking like alarm bells are ringing in my head.
Like,
I'm
how is he going to fix this?
Dude, you do not realize how much money it costs, or like, he's gonna kill you. And the kid, the brother, says, "My brother is gonna kill the both of us," right?
Yeah.
And I was scared for him, like that. When the movie continued, I was waiting until like what's gonna happen, right? That was the biggest cliffhanger for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next time we see the car is right before the football match where the two rival schools are gonna go at it. And I thought Jeff was such a genius.
He knew how to fix it.
Yeah, he spray painted it so that he made it like the kids from the other school. I forgot the name of the school.
Lincoln High.
Lincoln High. Lincoln High. Those kids actually totaled the car and spray painted it. So when Forrest Whitaker's character destroys the other team, it's actually Jeff that beat them, right? Like he kind of masterminded, puppet mastered it.
Yep.
And you just see him there, and he's so smug in the crowd. Like, oh, that was the best scene of the movie for me.
I love how the little brother and him are just like celebrating.
Just cheering on, yeah.
They are so happy.
It's their victory. Like,
yeah.
They could have been badly hurt, or like
he single-handedly destroys the other team.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was genius.
Yeah, that was really good. I think so Jeff's character definitely is a very centerpiece of the uh overall success of this movie over the years. I think people really enjoyed his character. What I saw was actually when the makers were making the movie at first, he didn't have this big of a role. So apparently, like the dream sequence where he dreams to be this famous surfer is actually filmed later and added into the movie because they
Interesting.
got feedback and they realized that he really hit it off with his character, and then people would really enjoy it more. So they actually added that scene back in. Which I found was super interesting too. I think his character really was the endearing point of the movie. Just this happy-go-lucky guy, you know.
Yeah.
He's managing high school as best as he can, and yeah, that scene was definitely my favorite. So I really enjoyed it.
And the last scene too, when Brad is in the new 7-Eleven and he gets robbed at gunpoint, and right before then, Jeff Piccoli comes in, purchases a few things, and asks to go to the bathroom. While he's in the bathroom, this robber comes in, holds Brad at gunpoint, and just when like stuff is about to go down, Jeff Piccoli comes out of the bathroom, startles the robber, and it's thanks to him, like the winning of the football game. It's thanks to him that Brad can pour that hot coffee on him, and Brad eventually becomes the manager of the 7-Eleven, and
Yep.
it's again thanks to Jeff, like happy go lucky.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
he's so happy too to have been there to help Brad. It shows, I think, his good heartedness that he doesn't mean well. He's like, all right, like, you know, like, awesome, we caught him.
Yeah, for sure. So I just want to mention a quick couple of things. The first thing that I really noticed right off the bat was, again, how 80s the movie was. Like it's we start at the mall. It's very like Atari games, arcade games,
Yeah.
you know, like these little like little things going on here and there, high schoolers having a lot of fun. I really felt that vibe again, even more than our last movie. For me, the more recent thing I've seen, like, be that 80s, is Stranger Things. So and kudos to Stranger Things again, how well they managed to recapture that feel. And another thing I quickly wanted to mention was this being another high school movie, I just wanted to quickly compare the two movies. I thought the last movie, we talked about how it was more kind of family oriented and very broad spectrum, and it being a pitch to a TV show eventually, which didn't work out. But I thought this one was more true and authentic to the actual high school like feel. Like
Yeah.
I felt this, I could believe this happening, you know, I could see this totally happening. And it was actually based on a real high school and like a year in a high school.
It's like predicaments that teenagers would get themselves into.
Exactly. And it really delved deep into these few kids' life rather than the other movie. We just got kind of like superficial snippets of how certain things happen for them and very stereotypical moments in their life. This one, I felt like I lived through the life of these few kids. So that was very interesting.
One thing that I wanted to add, Stacey is played by Jennifer Jason Leigh, and I have not seen The Hateful Eight, and I think she's in another really... Have you seen The Hateful Eight?
I have not. That's one of the Tarantino movies I have missed.
Yeah.
I want to
So
watch it.
I watched snippets of her, little clips, and I hadn't connected the two because I haven't seen any other of her movies, but she acts in a very similar way to the clips that I've seen from The Hateful Eight. Like, the gaze is off camera, and like it seems like she kept her style from, which is incredible because the two movies are 40 years apart. So it's, I thought that was really interesting with her.
That's fantastic. Some really good actors eventually becoming like big actors in their own rights. That was fantastic. So let's quickly talk about our boy Nick as well. So of course, very disappointing to see him, like, only glimpses of him across the movie. Reading after the movie later, I found that it was not totally his fault. So the fact is that I think he was only 17 during this movie, and so because he was too young, they actually couldn't cast him in some of the things because of the censorship issues and whatnot. And I also read that he actually was could have potentially been casted for the role of Brad as well, but
Oh, okay.
apparently his Brad was tonally much darker than the Brad we ended up getting. So
Okay.
they didn't go ahead with that, which is a shame. I mean, I would have liked to have seen how he was portrayed as Brad. But yeah, definitely not an improvement on how we saw him even in the last movie. But I would like to say that as movies themselves, of course, like Ridgemont High is definitely a way more over time. It's much more of a classic than
Yeah. It's definitely been like, I was reading that it made it into the National Film Preservation Board in 2005.
right.
And I don't know if you read this, but it inspired a TV show where Patrick Dempsey from Grey's Anatomy played Mike Damone's role. I thought that was,
Yeah.
I mean, thinking of Patrick Dempsey playing Mike Damone, I don't know,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
Mike
yeah.
Damone, he has like that con face kind of
Yeah,
look to
yeah,
him, and
yeah.
yeah, but yeah, definitely. I had never heard of this movie before, and I understand why it would be loved by people that watched it back in 1982. It's very. I assume that it would have been very timely to the era, and I think you're probably more appropriate to talk about this, but maybe the California high school experience would have been, the students have nice cars, flashy cars. It's something that we associate with California, the surfer dude. And yeah, I just I thought it was timely in a way. And like I said during the last episode, it almost feels close to home at times because you see them and there are little like rankings of them. One of them has the really cool car, the other one is the very super good sports American football player, and they respect each other. And that happened when I was in high school. So I thought it was something that I could not time wise relate to, but having gone through high school, it's something that I can relate to there.
Absolutely. And even now I see guys like Jeff Spicoli all the time. Like I go surfing with my friends too, and yeah, I see guys like him all the time, really good at surfing, just chill about things, they don't take offense easily. So all right, so shall we review the movie?
Yep.
All right, so what did you think?
So I gave the movie an 8 out of 10. I would totally recommend the movie to people. The music is really good. I think the music goes extremely well with the scenes and how it's used to transition from story to story. It has relatable characters, it has good acting, and I think the comedy is good humored. I don't think it at any point it's like malicious humor in the sense that like you're putting someone down for the sake of humor. Unfortunate things happen to Brad, like we said, but it's almost things that would happen to us too. It wouldn't take magic for it to not happen to a normal person. So I thought, yeah, I my final score is 8 out of 10.
Okay, perfect.
What about you?
So for me, I think I would have given it an 8 too, but just the fact that, again, like, and that's on me totally, but I started the movie, I sat down, and I wanted to watch Nicolas Cage again, right? And I was desperately seeking him out throughout the movie. After one point, I started giving up, and like, I got into the movie a bit more. So in hindsight, I think I would enjoy the movie more knowing that, okay, don't look for Nick Cage, just watch the movie, But yeah, I really enjoyed it too. I thought it was very authentic. I could totally buy that this happened, and this was like a real story that happened for these kids. It's very timeless in the sense that teenagers, any era, are going to be teenagers, right? And yeah, so I think I give it a 7 out of 10.
Okay, that's
I definitely
understandable.
enjoyed it. Yeah.
How or did you give Nick Cage any rating?
No, I mean, it's like an NA for me, like
Yeah, same.
there's
I wrote the
nothing
exact
to
same
give
thing.
because
Yep.
it's glimpses. It's literally 3 glimpses of him that I saw.
Right.
Yeah, that's pretty much the same for me as well. Really enjoyed it. Really interested to see all of these actors before they were really well known. And yeah, hoping to see more of Nick Cage, hopefully in the next few movies.
Oh, the next one is highly Nick Cage.
Alright, take it easy, baby.
All right, that wraps up this week's episode of The Uncaging. Thanks for joining us on this journey we have embarked on. We just reviewed Fast Times at Ridgemont High, a 1982 movie starring Sean Penn and Jennifer Jason Leigh. We highly recommend you watch it if you haven't done so already. We are David and Satyam. A few updates. We have an Anchor FM page, so if you head on over to anchor.fm/theuncaging, you will be able not only to review our podcast, but also leave us a voice message. If we figure out how to download those, we will be including them in our next week's episode. We also have a brand new email address. You can write us and be featured on our next episode at theuncaging@gmail.com. Send us shoutouts, comments, suggestions, or just say hi. We will be reviewing Nick Cage's first starring role with Valley Girl. Join us next week. And shout out to everyone listening.
Yeah, shout out to everyone listening and to our boy Nick Cage again, because we would not be doing this. We would not have watched this movie if it were not for this podcast.
And it was such a good movie too.
Yeah.
So we would have missed on a great movie, and so would you.
All right, so thank you guys for joining us. We had a blast making this, and we look forward to doing more of these. Thank you, and have a good afternoon and a good week ahead.
Have a great week.